All right, let's kick off this deep dive. And today we're tackling healthy eating habits specifically for diabetes management.
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah, I feel like this is a topic that's super relevant whether you're actually managing diabetes or just, want to eat better for overall well-being.
It really is. And what's so fascinating is the impact that our food choices can have, not just on blood sugar, but like you said, on our overall health and energy levels.
For sure, for sure.
So,
So, okay, we've got this text here all about, healthy eating for diabetes, and it seems like the first thing it really stresses is the importance of balanced meals.
right, balanced meals are really the foundation.
Okay, so let's break that down. What does that actually look like when you're putting together a meal?
Well, think about it this way. Imagine you have a plate in front of you,
Okay.
and on that plate you've got some grilled salmon,
Okay, I like where this is going.
some quinoa, and a colorful mix of, roasted vegetables, maybe some broccoli, some peppers. It's appealing.
Yeah, sounds delicious.
That's a balanced meal in action. You've got your lean protein from the salmon, complex carbs from the quinoa, and then healthy fats from the olive oil. You probably used to roast those veggies.
Gotcha. So it's not just about having, like veggies on the plate. It's about the specific types of foods within each food group.
Exactly. It's about making those smart swaps, like choosing brown rice over white rice, or opting for sweet potatoes instead of French fries.
Which the text really emphasizes.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
You see foods with a lower glycemic index, like those complex carbs we talked about. They release sugar into your bloodstream more slowly.
Okay, so it's about preventing those crazy blood sugar spikes and crashes.
Exactly. You want that nice, steady energy release throughout the day,
Mm.
not the kind that makes you feel like you're on a roller coaster.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that can impact those blood sugar levels, the text also mentions portion control.
Oh, portion control. It's so key. You can have a bit of everything, but it's about being mindful of how much of each component ends up on your plate.
Right, like not going overboard.
Exactly. Instead of piling on those mountains of food, think about dividing your plate visually. Half for non-starchy veggies, a quarter for lean protein, and a quarter for those high-fiber carbs.
So it's like those visual cues can really help you make those smarter choices.
Exactly. Those visual keys can be game changers.
For sure. And you mentioned healthy fats earlier. I have to admit, I used to be one of those people who was like, fat is bad.
That phobia was real, but the truth is healthy fats are essential.
Yeah, this text definitely challenges that old way of thinking.
You know those healthy fats you find in avocados, nuts, olive oil, and fatty fish? Those are your friends. They support heart health, help you feel full and satisfied, and even help your body absorb certain vitamins.
Okay, so it's not about avoiding fat altogether. It's about choosing the right kinds of fats and enjoying them in moderation.
Absolutely. Think of it like this: a drizzle of olive oil on that salad. Yes, please. But maybe not drowning it in a creamy, high-fat dressing. Find that sweet spot.
Yeah, that balance is key. Speaking of balance, let's talk about lean protein. Why is that such a crucial part of the diabetes-friendly eating puzzle?
Well, for a couple of reasons. First, lean protein helps stabilize those blood sugar levels, which is super important for managing diabetes.
And I know protein also keeps you feeling fuller for longer, right? Which could help prevent overeating.
You got it. It's all connected. And let's not forget that protein provides the building blocks for healthy muscles and tissues. So you want to make sure you're getting enough of it.
So things like fish, chicken breast, beans, lentils, tofu, those are all good examples.
Exactly. They're your go-to sources for lean protein. And they can be incredibly versatile, too. You can incorporate them into so many different dishes.
Awesome.
Yep.
So we've got balanced meals with those smart swaps, portion control, and a focus on healthy fats and lean protein. It sounds like we're building a pretty solid foundation here.
We are. But it's not just about the what. It's about the how as well. And that brings us to mindful eating.
Oh, yeah, the text mentions that. What exactly does that mean? Because I think a lot of people hear that term and they're not really sure what it entails.
It's such a powerful practice.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You're sitting down to eat that delicious meal we talked about earlier, but instead of shoveling it in while, mindlessly scrolling through your phone,
Guilty as charged.
you're fully present. You're paying attention to the textures, the aromas, the flavors. You're savoring each bite.
Wow, that paints such a different picture of mealtime.
It does. It's about slowing down, tuning into your body's signals of hunger and fullness, and truly appreciating the experience of eating.
Yeah, and I bet that makes a huge difference, not just in terms of digestion, but also in terms of how satisfied you feel.
It does. When you eat mindfully, you're more likely to recognize those cues that tell you when you've had enough. And that can prevent overeating and help you stay in tune with your body's needs.
It's like becoming more aware of those internal signals instead of just, eating on autopilot.
Exactly. And speaking of tuning into your body's rhythms, the text also talks about the importance of regular meal times.
Right, like having some consistency throughout the day.
Instead of skipping meals or snacking erratically, try to establish a consistent eating schedule. That way you're providing your body with a steady stream of energy, and you're less likely to experience those energy dips and cravings that can lead to unhealthy choices.
So it's like setting those anchor points throughout the day to keep your blood sugar stable and your energy levels more consistent.
Precisely. It's all about creating that balance and that stability.
Makes sense. So we've got those balanced meals, portion control, mindful eating, and regular meal times. It sounds like we've covered a lot of ground already in terms of those foundational principles.
We have.
Mm.
And these principles really lay the groundwork for everything else we're going to talk about.
Okay, well, then let's move on to some of those practical tips and strategies, because I know the text is packed with actionable advice.
It is. And I think those tips are what really help bring these principles to life.
All right, then. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's talk about those practical tips. I know when it comes to making healthy changes, sometimes it's those little things, those day-to-day strategies that can really make all the difference.
For sure. For sure. So what kind of things did this text highlight?
Well, one that really stood out to me was the importance of planning ahead.
Oh, yeah, meal prepping.
Exactly. It's like having those meals ready to go can be a lifesaver, especially when you're busy or tired.
I've always wanted to try meal prepping, but I always feel like I just don't have the time.
I get it. It can feel daunting,
Yeah.
but trust me, it doesn't have to be this big, elaborate thing. You can start small.
Okay, so what would you recommend for someone who's like totally new to meal prepping?
Well, the text suggests picking 1 or 2 days a week to focus on. Maybe on a Sunday, you could batch cook some chicken breasts or roast a bunch of veggies.
And then you'd have those ingredients ready to go for the week.
Exactly. You could throw them into salads, wraps, or grain bowls for quick and easy meals.
Oh, I see. So it's not necessarily about like prepping entire meals in advance. It's more about having those key components ready to go.
Right. And you can even prep some snacks, too, like portioning out nuts or cutting up fruits and veggies.
Okay, and what about like grocery shopping? Are there any strategies to make sure you're actually buying those healthy ingredients?
The text is a big fan of grocery lists.
I love a good list.
Right. It's like your roadmap to success in the grocery store.
It keeps you focused.
Exactly. And it can help you avoid those impulse buys in the snack aisle.
Oh, for sure. I'm definitely guilty of like wandering the aisles and ending up with things I didn't even need.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
But if you have a list and you stick to it, you're much more likely to come home with the ingredients you need to make those healthy meals.
Makes sense. So we've got meal planning, grocery lists. What about those food labels? Because sometimes I swear they're written in a foreign language.
I know, right? That can be so confusing. But with a little practice, you can become a food label pro.
Okay, so let's say I'm staring at a food label, feeling totally lost. Where should I even start?
First, look at the serving size. This is super important because all the other information on the label is based on that serving size.
Okay.
Then check the calories and the amounts of carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And pay close attention to added sugars because they can be sneaky.
Yeah, I've noticed that sugar is in like everything these days.
It really is. So it's about being a detective and looking for those hidden sugars.
Okay, so we're checking serving sizes, looking at those macronutrients, and scanning for added sugars. Anything else?
The ingredient list is another important clue.
Mm.
Aim for products with shorter ingredient lists and ingredients you recognize and can pronounce.
So if I can't pronounce it, I probably shouldn't be eating it.
It's a good rule of thumb. The simpler the ingredients, the better.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've covered meal planning, grocery shopping, and deciphering food labels. What else?
Well, the text also emphasizes the importance of hydration.
Oh, right. Water.
Water is essential for so many bodily functions. But sometimes plain water can get a little boring.
I agree. I mean, I know I should drink more water, but sometimes I just don't feel like it.
I get it, but there are ways to make it more appealing. You could try infusing your water with fruits, veggies, or herbs.
Oh, yeah. I've seen those like cucumber and mint water recipes.
Exactly. It's such a refreshing way to stay hydrated, and it's a lot healthier than those sugary sodas or juices.
For sure. So we've got meal planning, grocery shopping, food labels, and hydration.
Yeah.
It feels like we're building a pretty solid toolkit here for making those healthy choices.
We are. And one thing I really appreciate about this text is that it emphasizes the importance of finding what works for you.
Right. Like, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to healthy eating.
Exactly. And it's not about deprivation. It's about finding a way to nourish your body and enjoy the foods you love, in a balanced and sustainable way.
And the text really stresses that it's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
Absolutely. There will be days when you nail it, and there will be days when you maybe don't make the healthiest choices.
And that's okay.
It's all part of the journey. The important thing is to keep coming back to those core principles and to keep learning and growing.
So it's about finding that balance between having those healthy habits, but also not beating yourself up if you slip up every now and then.
Exactly. It's about being kind to yourself and celebrating those small wins along the way.
I love that. And speaking of celebrating, this text also talks about the importance of variety.
Oh, yes. Eating a variety of foods from all food groups ensures that you're getting a wide range of nutrients.
So it's not about sticking to the same 5 foods every day.
Right. Experiment with different fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins. Branch out and try new recipes.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Exactly. Healthy eating shouldn't feel like a chore. It should be something you enjoy.
I totally agree. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here in terms of those practical tips, and I feel like we're starting to see how all of these pieces fit together.
We are. And as we wrap up this part, I want to emphasize that this is just the beginning.
Right. It's not like we're giving you all the answers here.
It's about sparking your curiosity and empowering you to explore and find what works best for your unique needs and preferences.
Because ultimately, healthy eating is a very personal journey.
It is. And it's a journey that's worth taking.
I think that's a great note to end on. Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into healthy eating for diabetes management.
It's been a really insightful conversation, I think.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, from those core principles to practical tips and even those mindset shifts that can really make a difference.
Now it's time to bring it all together. How can we take what we've learned and apply it to our everyday lives?
Right, because at the end of the day, it's not just about knowing the information, it's about putting it into action.
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from this deep dive is that healthy eating isn't about deprivation or following a bunch of strict rules.
Yeah, this text definitely challenges that old way of thinking.
It's about making informed choices, understanding how different foods affect your body, and finding what truly works for you.
And it's about creating habits that you can actually stick with, not just, quick fixes that you abandon after a week.
Right, sustainable changes that become part of your lifestyle.
Exactly. And this text reminds us that it's a journey, not a race. There will be times when you nail it and times when you might, slip up.
And that's okay. That's part of the process.
What matters is that you keep coming back to those core principles we talked about, making those conscious choices that nourish your body and support your well-being.
That's what it's all about.
Mm.
I really love that phrase, conscious choices, because it highlights the importance of awareness.
Yeah, it's not just about what we eat. It's about the intention and the attention we bring to the whole experience.
Exactly. And that's what mindful eating is all about.
So as we wrap up this step dive, I want to leave you with this thought.
What's one small step you can take this week to apply what you've learned?
It doesn't have to be a huge overhaul of your entire diet. It could be something as simple as planning out your meals for the week, swapping that white rice for brown rice, or even just pausing for a moment to really savor a bite of your next meal.
Those small changes can add up over time. And remember, you have the power to make choices that support your health.
And by embracing these principles of healthy eating, you can truly thrive. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into healthy eating for diabetes management.
We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep nourishing your amazing self.
And remember, food can be both fuel and a source of joy.